Major funding for KPBS Evening Edition has been made possible in part by Anderson Plumbing, Heating and Air, proud to support the mission of KPBS and privileged to serve San Diego clients. Anderson Plumbing, Heating and Air, helping homeowners maintain drain, heating, and cooling systems since 1978. And by the Conrad Prebys Foundation, Darlene Marcos Shiley, and by the following. And by viewers like you. Thank you.
Good evening. It's Monday, June 22nd. Thank you for joining us. I'm Maya Trabulsi. Another staggering round of new coronavirus cases in the county, and it's leading to many questions and concerns. For a second day in a row, San Diego County surpassed the 300 mark of new daily cases. 302 the past 24 hours, raising the county case total to 11,096. The number of deaths remains unchanged at 338. We'll have more in just a moment. Governor Gavin Newsom and the state legislature have come to an agreement on a budget to cover California's estimated $54 billion deficit. In a joint statement, the governor and state lawmakers say the agreement funds education, health care, and the social safety net. The budget also invests in small businesses harmed by the pandemic.
We have a legal obligation to balance our budgets. We can't do what the federal government can do, and that's kick the can, print money, and the like. And so we had to work feverishly to figure out a way to do that that mitigates the harm to those most in need, the most vulnerable, including our children and our teachers and the like.
The governor says the budget includes language protecting teachers from layoffs. Tomorrow, President Trump is scheduled to visit Arizona, the state seeing the highest percentage of positive tests for the coronavirus. Arizona's positive test rate is at a 7-day average over 20%. Cases nearly doubled there over the past 2 weeks, passing 50,000. In Phoenix, the city council voted to make masks mandatory in public. Phoenix's Democratic mayor says she hopes the president will comply during his visit, despite repeatedly avoiding masks at other events during the pandemic.
One of the reasons we have this growth in Arizona is complacency. We've had elected officials say that the worst was over a month ago. That was not the case, and we are seeing records of the type we don't want to break.
Other states are also seeing an increase in cases, this as more younger Americans are testing positive for the virus. Here's Daryl Forges.
The coronavirus pandemic continues to take its toll. States like Florida surpassing over 100,000 coronavirus cases.
We're nowhere near yet sort of a surge that would truly challenge our hospital capacity, but we can't wait until we get to those points.
Jackson Health, the state's largest public health system, is reporting a 75% increase in coronavirus patients in the past 2 weeks. Florida Governor Ron DeSantis says many coronavirus cases are between the ages of 18 and 35. Officials say it's due in part to the lack of social distancing and not wearing masks.
So a lot of young people feel like the fact that we opened up means that they can do whatever they want, and they have to stop it.
As the Sunshine State deals with an uphill battle, New York, once the epicenter of the pandemic, now entering phase 2 of their reopening, which includes outdoor dining, barbershops and hair salons, playgrounds, office and curbside retail stores. Health experts say we are still in the first wave of the pandemic. The biggest concern now is what will happen with a potential second COVID-19 wave and the flu season in the fall.
And that could really overwhelm our healthcare system very quickly, which is the reason why hospitals really need to be preparing for that surge right now.
Daryl Forges, KPBS News.
The MCAS Miramar Air Show is the latest local event to be canceled because of the pandemic. MCAS Miramar tweeted the news today saying it's a disappointment, but the safety of our Marines and San Diegans must come first. The last time the event was canceled was in 2013 when the Department of Defense slashed budgets during the government shutdown. Officials say the goal is to bring back the air show next year. San Diego County is cutting the requirement for appointments at a COVID testing site in Southeast San Diego and making it the county's first walk-in only location. KPBS health reporter Taryn Mento says the change comes after a lot of people were missing their appointments.
The low-income community has seen a higher rate of COVID cases than the county, but data show 20 to 30% of people didn't follow through on their appointments at the Tubman Chavez Community Center. Health and Human Services Agency Director Nick Mascione says that put the resource at risk because it was funded by the state, which looks for an 80% utilization rate.
If you drop below 80%, and it's fair, it's a state asset. They're looking at this every day, every week. And if that continues, we jeopardize losing that testing site. We don't want that.
Later this month, the county will move the state site to National City, which has very low no-show rates, and continue supporting the Tubman Chavez site with county funds. Local physician Dr. Rodney Hood says the high no-show rates in Southeastern are linked to barriers like food and transportation insecurity, challenges he had to overcome when he started his practice decades ago.
It wasn't that they didn't want to keep the appointment. It was that they had other issues that other folks who are more economically off didn't have to deal with.
He says building trust and supporting social needs can improve patient engagement and health outcomes. He's leading the COVID Equity Task Force that's working with the county to bridge gaps. Taryn Mento, KPBS News.
Now for an update on the coronavirus in San Diego County. Here's KPBS reporter Matt Hoffman.
Those that suggest this somehow is going to disappear, these numbers tell a very, very different and sobering story.
The governor says just over the last 2 weeks, California has seen more than a third of its total cases, and ICU bed rates are up.
We're starting to see slight uptick in the positivity rates.
Neighboring Imperial County still has the highest positive case rate of any county at 21%. They are one of the only counties still not moving forward with reopenings.
Imperial, which is a county we continue to be concerned about.
The governor talked at length about the importance of wearing face coverings.
It's your individual decision making that will determine our fate and future.
Just last week, officials made wearing state coverings in public a requirement statewide. Newsom says enforcement of that mandate is key.
The state of California and local government has the ability from a regulatory perspective to go after people that are simply thumbing their nose and abusing the privilege.
Some restaurant owners are welcoming any type of enforcement of reopening guidelines. Local counties are counting on their help to stop the spread of COVID-19.
Things are not slowing down.
San Diego County is seeing more than just a slight uptick in its positive testing rate. Typically 2 to 4% of COVID daily tests are positive. Yesterday that jumped to 7%, with the highest daily number of confirmed cases reported so far, with 310. Officials are partially attributing the increases to delays in testing results.
This rate going up to 7% is very concerning.
We're also still seeing unusually high numbers of outbreaks throughout the county.
The number of cases, the number of outbreaks, the percentage of positives are not headed in the right direction.
The weekend marked the official start of summer, but still events and businesses that rely on large gatherings like SeaWorld, Legoland, and Kaboo Music Festival are still in limbo when it comes to reopening. The state hasn't issued guidance for when they could resume operations, but even if they did, it wouldn't happen here yet.
If any new guidance has come out, particularly this week or next week, we will hold off on implementing those until our numbers are more consistent.
Legoland and SeaWorld were hoping to reopen next week on July 1st, and Kaboo says it's still waiting for guidance to see if its summer festival goes on. Matt Hoffman, KPBS News.
San Diego is expected to miss out on millions of dollars in state affordable housing funds due to be approved this week. KPBS Metro reporter Andrew Bowen tells us why.
Near the corner of Balboa and Genesee Avenues in Claremont, plans are in the works to tear down a vacant county-owned building and replace it with more than 400 units of low-income housing. The project's developer, Chelsea Investment Corporation, sought $30 million for the project under the State Affordable Housing and Sustainable Communities Grant Program, or AHSC. But the project and 4 others in San Diego County will likely get no funding from the program. One reason why: the program prioritizes housing near train stations, which San Diego doesn't have many of. Ann Wilson is Director of Development for Chelsea. She says San Diego's affordable housing and homelessness crises are only getting worse.
The only way we can fix that is by building larger affordable housing projects and building them faster. And without AHSC, award, this is going to slow things down and be very difficult to build in the scale and size that we need to solve these problems.
While San Diego is set to receive $0, projects in LA and the Bay Area are recommended for more than $400 million, almost 3/4 of the total funding. Colin Parent is executive director of Circulate San Diego, a nonprofit that wrote a report last year on San Diego's poor performance in the grant program.
And it's only fair that every region gets an equal amount of participation. And I think that's especially true for the San Diego region that really stepped up this time and brought some real resources to bear to make some competitive applications.
The grant awards are due to be officially approved by a state oversight council on Thursday. Andrew Bowen, KPBS News.
Green cards that are issued outside of the U.S. will be seeing an extension on a ban until the end of the year. The Trump administration is also freezing some temporary work visas, including by tech companies and multinational corporations. The administration sees this as a way to free up jobs in the economy that has been hit hard by the coronavirus. There's significant federal relief money for farmers during the COVID-19 pandemic, but many San Diego County farms are not eligible. That could change. iNewsSource reporter Camille Von Canel explains.
The county's farmers are pushing the federal government to loosen restrictions on $16 billion of relief money for agriculture.
The list of crops that qualify for the money leaves out mangoes, guavas, and other exotic fruit grown in Fallbrook and other parts of the region. It also leaves out flowers and nursery plants, which are the most lucrative products in San Diego County's nearly $1.8 billion agricultural economy. The government has told farmers it is considering approving more crops for the COVID-19 relief money. Diana Roy works at a Fallbrook farm that's asking to add flowers to the list.
Any additional help we'll get will definitely help us survive basically summer and the fall. So I'm trying to stay positive.
Most of the federal money so far has gone to grain, livestock, and dairy producers.
For KPBS, I'm iNewsSource reporter Camille Von Canel.
And iNewsSource is an independently funded nonprofit partner of KPBS. In an effort to create a new source of income, the Del Mar Fairgrounds is going ahead with a preliminary plan to put in temporary housing for homeless veterans on Fairgrounds property. The housing will be installed and maintained by LA-based company Fix Solutions. The Fairgrounds will lease the site and receive revenue, but will not be involved in overseeing the housing. In the plan, pre-assembled modular units could be hooked up to sewage, water, and electrical services and can be stacked to create 2 or 3 levels of housing. UC San Diego researchers say a tool they call nanosponges can be used to stop the coronavirus from infecting the human body. KPBS science and technology reporter Shalina Chetlani says scientists have seen promising results in lab settings.
When a virus enters the body, it looks for cells to latch onto so it can thrive and multiply. So UCSD molecular engineer Lianfang Zhang thought, why not target those cells and organs and protect them instead of attacking the virus?
It's not targeting the individual virus or viral species. It's protecting our host cells, our lung, our organs.
Well, that's the idea behind these nanosponges. They're tiny biodegradable particles that are coated in cellular material. Zhang says the virus or toxin is attracted to these decoy cells, which then soak up the virus like a sponge and divert it away from the cells they can actually stick to and infect.
So we created 2 types of the cellular nanosponges, and they can inhibit the viral infectivity over 90%.
Those results were from Petri dish studies in the lab. So now Zhang says it's important to try out this method in animal models. Shalina Chetlani, KPBS News.
And we're starting off the week with a warming trend. Mark Mancuso has your forecast.
And here's a look at our weather headlines for today. Well, looking ahead next couple of days, our temperatures will be pretty much on the seasonable side. Near the coast, those low clouds will struggle to clear, but inland areas should clear nicely. The marine layer is getting a little bit shallower now over the next couple of days. And looking at Wednesday, we could see a little bit of subtropical moisture moving into the area, just a few high clouds around. Forecast for tonight, temperature drops down to 72 in Borrego Springs, Mount Laguna's at 58, and Campo's at 48. We'll be in the mid-60s tonight for a low in El Cajon. Ramona 57, Escondido 61, San Diego at 65, and Oceanside 64. Looking at the weather here into Tuesday, really no big changes right along the coast. We'll see our cooler temperatures with clouds gradually eroding westward during the day into the beach areas, interior sections. They'll stay dry and temperatures will be seasonably warm. Borrego Springs, forecast high up to 110. Looking at Mount Laguna at 79, Campo's up to 92. Ramona is 87, Escondido's 83, El Cajon at 87, and we see the closer to the coast temperatures hovering into the mid-70s. Looking ahead, well, it's still hot here in the deserts and along the coast, some clouds and then sunshine, and temperatures here will be seasonable. Also, as mentioned, there's a system well offshore that could dip into a little subtropical moisture. That's why we could see a few high clouds come in here around Wednesday. Here's the forecast for the coastal areas. Well, we're in the mid-70s. Clouds and then sunshine as we head into the interior. Some clouds, but then lots of sun. Temperatures warming up a little bit later in the week. In the mountains, it looks beautiful. And in the deserts, it'll be hot with triple-digit heat. For KPBS News, I'm meteorologist Mark Mancuso.
The FBI and Justice Department's Civil Rights Division is investigating a noose found in a black NASCAR driver's garage. It was found yesterday in Bubba Wallace's stall at the Talladega Superspeedway in Alabama. In a show of support today, fellow drivers and crew members pushed Wallace's car to the front of the grid. Wallace was among those who successfully pushed for banning Confederate flags at NASCAR events. NASCAR's president says he will ban whoever left the noose. Protests against police brutality continued for the fourth weekend in a row. That includes a call for an investigation into an officer-involved shooting in Los Angeles County. John Lawrence has the details.
Tension on the street of Los Angeles County Sunday.
We wasn't being aggressive, violent, or anything like that. They just started shooting tear gas at us. And then they start shooting the rubber bullets.
Protesters there demanding answers about the fatal shooting of Andres Guardado.
It's still not real. It's still, I close my eyes and I hope and I pray that it's not really happening.
One of Guardado's relatives says the 18-year-old was working as a security guard at an auto body shop. Deputies say they were patrolling the area Thursday when they saw a man pull out a handgun and run off. The sheriff's office says after a short chase, Guardado was shot by a deputy.
A .40 caliber semi-automatic pistol was recovered at the scene. That firearm had a polymer frame with no markings or serial number.
Across the country in New York, an NYPD officer is suspended without pay after he's caught on camera allegedly using a chokehold.
Stop choking him! No, he's choking him! Let him go!
Officials are investigating the incident, and one person is dead and another injured after a weekend shooting in Seattle's protest zone. Police say they tried to respond to the call, but demonstrators wouldn't let them enter. I'm John Lawrence reporting.
Coronavirus has reminded the world about the crucial role of healthcare workers, especially nurses. KPBS health reporter Taryn Mento says another crisis outside hospitals is again calling those professionals to the front lines.
A team of registered nurses prepared for their jobs on a weekday afternoon by assembling the new gas masks they ordered online. Critical care nurse Christina Kelly helped her colleagues attach the magenta filters.
So they point up directly like that, and then down.
The respirators are part of their toolkit not for the hospital, but the streets. The group has become a regular presence at ongoing protests over racial injustice and works with street medics to provide licensed care.
So they'll radio or text us if there's somebody in the crowd that needs assistance.
Kelly, who holds a doctorate in nursing practice, launched the volunteer task force to ensure everyone had access to aid.
As a nurse, we can't just take care of people that are in the hospital. We're also responsible for the communities that we serve, the population.
Kelly saw the need firsthand back in late May. She attended a downtown San Diego protest against police brutality to watch what was going on. protesters ran when police used flashbangs, pepper spray, and rubber bullets to disperse crowds. And Kelly was concerned as a medical responder.
I just saw all of these hazards, like people could trip, they could fall. I saw head traumas. We didn't actually see head traumas, but you can see that in the making.
She feared the sheer size of the crowds and the road closures meant emergency response teams couldn't reach someone if they were in need. She rallied her colleagues to put licensed professionals on the ground at as many demonstrations that they knew about. They're now invited directly by organizers who are often in their teens and 20s.
So they started seeking us out when they would see us there.
So far medically, Kelly says injuries have been minimal.
Dehydration, it's been exhaustion, it's been sun exposure, heat exhaustion. So where we've had to give water, we've seen bike falls because there are some demonstrators that are on bikes and skateboards.
And they've distributed masks and hand sanitizer to keep people safe during the pandemic. But their backpacks are prepared for any situation with the supplies that they provide themselves.
Scissors, ponchos, Band-Aids, steri strips, saline wash.
Kelly notified her employer and the San Diego chief of police about the role they'd serve. The American Nurses Association California chapter endorsed the task force and used Kelly's letter as a template for nurses across the country.
So that any other nursing task force that wants to write a letter to their local chief of police to let them know of their intentions to be present at demonstrations, that they have a platform to do so.
Task force member Laura Chechel says they don't only walk behind demonstrators to provide care, but to support the fight against racism. The American Nursing Association's Code of Ethics says nurses have an obligation to social justice to reduce health disparities.
Our voice is valued by people. You know, when you say you're a nurse, people sort of listen to what you have to say. And, you know, you need to get out there and you need to speak up for what's right and what's appropriate in your communities.
A recent demonstration in City Heights included task force member Nicole Ward's own daughter.
It's better when she's with her mama than out here by herself.
19-year-old Kiara Ward says her reason for marching is simple.
I'm a cosplayer, so I get a lot of hate because of my skin color. So I often get called the N-word a lot, and I want to protest because I feel like I have a right to just exist without being hated on.
Demonstrators have marched against that kind of injustice for weeks in San Diego. An early June protest drew thousands that filled streets on an hours-long trek through the city. A KPBS reporter was live streaming the event online when a young woman collapsed.
We might have an emergency here or something.
The location and sea of people made it difficult for emergency responders to reach her. Kelly and the task force were there and rushed in.
That medical team that we were just talking to, they are working on that woman right now.
Taryn Mento.
She was talking to them and they're about to help her up.
KPBS News.
2 more members of President Trump's campaign working his rally in Tulsa, Oklahoma have tested positive for the coronavirus. The president's campaign announced today that the staffers tested positive before they boarded their flight out of Oklahoma. The 2 were quarantined that the campaign began contact tracing protocols. 6 other staffers, including 2 Secret Service agents, tested positive before Saturday's rally. It's believed to be the largest indoor event in the U.S. since the pandemic. Tom Petty's family is not backing down with its displeasure over President Trump using the late singer's hit song, I Won't Back Down, during his weekend rally. They sent a cease and desist letter to the Trump campaign. The rock star's estate says Petty and his family firmly stand against racism and discrimination of any kind, and they don't want a song of his used for a campaign of hate. Arnold Schwarzenegger and 3 other former California governors came together to send a message about face coverings.
This is not about being weak.
It's about fighting the disease and keeping our families and ourselves safe.
And it's about getting Californians back to work.
And small businesses open safely.
COVID-19 is still spreading. It didn't go away just because your mall is open at 50% capacity.
This isn't over. It's up to all of us to fight it.
So do your part.
Don't let COVID win. Wear a mask.
Just do it.
Just do it.
So the video comes after Governor Gavin Newsom's order requiring all Californians to wear masks in public places.
I'm Judy Woodruff. Tonight on the NewsHour, a troubling surge. The world marks its highest single-day total of new coronavirus infections yet. Coming up at 7 after Evening Edition on KPBS.
And here's another look at today's top stories. County health officials are warning people to not get complacent and wear masks and social distance. The urging comes after yet a second day in which new COVID cases topped more than 300, bringing the overall total to close to 11,100 cases. The county death toll remains at 338. State lawmakers and the governor have reached an agreement on a budget to cover California's estimated $54 billion deficit. The deal funds education, healthcare, and the social safety net. It also invests in small businesses harmed by the pandemic. The governor also says the budget includes language protecting teachers from layoffs. 5 low-income housing projects in San Diego County will likely miss out on affordable housing funding from the state. The reason? The state prioritizes housing near train stations, which San Diego doesn't have many of. While San Diego is set to receive $0, projects in LA and the Bay Area are recommended for more than $400 million. We're getting a look at 2 of the San Diego Zoo's newest residents. These endangered Amur leopard cubs were born in April and are now venturing out to explore their habitat with their mother every day. The cubs don't have names yet. They'll get their first veterinary exams this week to reveal their sexes. Fewer than 100 of their species is believed to exist in Russia and China, making them the rarest big cats on the planet. And you can find tonight's stories on our website, kpbs.org/evening edition. Thank you for joining us. I'm Maya Trabulsi. Have a great evening.
Major funding for KPBS Evening Edition has been made possible in part by Anderson Plumbing, Heating and Air, proud to support the mission of KPBS and privileged to serve San Diego clients. Anderson Plumbing, Heating and Air, helping homeowners maintain drain, heating, and cooling systems since 1978. And by the Conrad Prebys Foundation, Darlene Marcos Shiley. And by the following: and by viewers like you. Thank you.